talk if you think about
What is going on, guys? It's Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight, we're going to talk about the T-cells, and, of course, we're going to talk about China, Russia, and everything that is happening as we speak. On top of that, they just upped the ante for Bennu hitting Earth. We'll talk about that all and more right after this. Remember, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show, including our wonderful mods. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. All right, what is going on? My name is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a lot to go over, so I just want to remind anyone who is new that we try to back up every single thing we say with a source or a bibliography of sorts on our website. If you go to marfooglenews.com, it's very easy to navigate. You just go, of course, to this thumbnail, Bennu, upping the odds of impact, and then when you click on that, you will be directed right to all of the links. So you can actually grab a second device and follow along if you'd like. Again, everything is here, from tweets, videos, archived documents, anything that we show you, we try to give you access to. Again, and there's also web-only content. Anything that is too hot for TV or people are basically dropping like flies because they're covering, it is all down here. And then on the right side, we are completely independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. We do not have, of course, a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. So, of course, you guys are our backbone. If you want to support us through our Amazon link, the box is over there for that. If you want to support us through PayPal, we, again, spend our own money to build platforms and things like this that, of course, we are trying to find staff for and everything else. So if you can support right now, that would be great. If not, push a like or a subscribe if you've never been here before. All right, Dex, my internet brother / co-host, how are you doing tonight and what is going on?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, of course, we're going to talk about Bennu here in a second. We'll get to that. They have just upped the actual odds of it hitting, which is exactly what we said here, and that was based on look at the patterns. But anyways, we'll get into that in here in just a second. First of all, let's get right into the news. Russian scientists sound alarm over colossal Black Sea oil slick. Apparently, it says that Russian scientists sounded the alarm Wednesday over a huge oil slick in the Black Sea, with the World Wildlife Fund saying at least 100 tons of oil have leaked off of the city of Novorossiysk. And if I totally butchered that, I apologize. It says a leak occurred at a sea terminal near the southern port city at a weekend as the Greek-flagged Minerva Symphony was loading oil. It says on Monday, the Caspian Pipeline Consortium, CPC, which controls the terminal, said the spill was contained, estimating the oil had spread over an area of 200 square meters, or involved about 12 cubic meters of oil. So that's quite a lot. Of course, anybody following the all of the pollution and things that are happening around the world, this is almost small fries. Again, this is a huge spill, but when you actually follow this stuff, it's like every week we cover a story like this. CPC is owned by a number of shareholders, including Russia's Rosneft, U.S. oil giant Chevron, and Italy's Eni. Or Eni. I don't know how to say that because I've never seen one. But the WWF, which I always thought of as, of course, World Wrestling Federation, is apparently the World Wildlife Fund. And Russian scientists said Wednesday that the oil slick was much larger than initially reported and could have a negative impact on the environment. The conservation group said it had launched its own surveillance and, citing its own data, found that the slick covered an area of 94 square kilometers by Sunday. That's a huge difference. Dex, that's actually like, how many times bigger is that than what they said? Sounds like a cover-up.
Just to put it in perspective, if it's 100 tons or what they're reporting here, that's about half the size of the BP oil leak that we had in the Gulf, which was massive, right? You remember that one was really big.
Yeah.
So this is significant. Even if it's half that size, it's still significant. It's pretty big.
So obviously this is going to affect the ocean all around it. We'll follow it as it goes out. It's going to spread out, of course, and they're going to have efforts to clean it up. And then, of course, we have Russia's space program just threw a U.S. astronaut under the bus. It says that Russia's state-owned news service TASS has published an extraordinary defamatory article, and they say it's supposedly defamatory, article about NASA astronaut Serena Anoon Chancellor, saying that the publication claims that Anoon Chancellor had an emotional breakdown in space, then damaged a Russian spacecraft in order to return early. This, of course, is a complete fabrication. So one thing that I don't get, and again, who is writing this? Ars Technica. How do they know it's a complete fabrication? Unless I wonder if they're going to add, some sort of proof. Do they have video cameras that say that it's a complete fabrication? I'm not saying that she did it or didn't do it, but again, that's kind of a crazy story to make up. That's like straight up just nuts. But again, we have seen NASA astronauts drive across country in diapers to kidnap people, so, maybe space does something to you. The context of this article is the recent near-disastrous docking of the Russian Nuka science module with the International Space Station. The TASS article attempts to rebut criticism in U.S. publications, including Ars Technica, that covered the incident and raised questions about the future of Roscosmos, NASA partnership in space. So as Dex said a few days ago, they actually have had quite a record. I was looking after I said something negatively about their how they have this kind of jalopy kind of style. They actually do have a really good record as far as space launches, or as far as official things go. In fact, it looks like the U.S. actually has kind of a lot of pockmarks on a lot of our stuff. SpaceX has a lot of pockmarks. Of course, their slight anomaly was an explosion that, when they tested the passenger module and they said that they had a slight anomaly, somebody leaked the footage and it was supposedly where the people would be sitting, and it just exploded into smithereens. So if they call that a slight anomaly and NASA calls their explosion a slight incident, it's like, what is really going on here? It says one of a dozen rebuttals in the TASS article concerns a 2018 incident, a 2-millimeter breach in the orbital module of the Suez MS-09 vehicle docked with the ISS. Russian cosmonaut Sergei Prokofiev, European Space Agency astronaut Alexander Gerst, and NASA Anoon Chancellor had flown to the station inside the Suez in June. The leak was discovered in late August. Left unchecked, the small hole would be depressurized the station in about 2 weeks. Fortunately, cosmonauts were able to patch the hole with epoxy, and the Suez spacecraft was deemed safe to fly its crew of 3 back to Earth. So maybe I've seen too many movies, but it seems to me like even if there was like a little thumb-size hole, and again, they said they initially plugged it with their finger. It doesn't seem too realistic considering the science of it all. I thought that would be a giant thing if you're out in space where there's no oxygen at all. How did they not notice that? How did it even go as long as it did? I guess they have oxygen things pumping oxygen in, but it just seems really crazy to me. The whole thing seemed fishy. So something is going on here. It seems to me like they're setting up for, this negative in every arena. We are going negatively against Russia and China, or at least the public has this negative view of Russia and China, and vice versa. They're doing the same thing about the U.S. So obviously, we're not getting along too well. What I didn't.
This will be the split up, right? This is not just this article or just this thing, but it's obvious, the writing's on the wall, that there's a split coming with the space exploration between and the partnership.
Why do you think
the U.S. and Russia had?
And so. China has its own space station. Look at what's happening. The writing is on the wall is cliche, but it's absolutely true. This is a Bad B movie. You can see where the blonde runs up the stairs instead of out the open door. It's right here in our faces. China has launched another ISS or a type thing, which Russia will be able to use. We stopped using the Suez's to launch people, or at least now we're starting to use SpaceX to launch people to the ISS. I think that it's going to be U.S. and other allies, and then China and Russia will have their own space station. They're not going to be working together. That's another sign that we're not going to be together soon. They are technically our enemy, and now it's very clear. I'm sticking to my bang bangs, and I'm saying we are going to go to conflict with them soon. And again, if people don't want that to happen, or if they're against that, then that's fine. It's a good thing to be positive and to keep yourself out of it and just put your head in the sand, I guess. Some people need to do that for their mental health. But again, if you're following this, it's pretty obvious what is happening right now. Separating internets, separating farming, separating imports and exports. We're about to talk about that here in a second. China has just shut down its ports. I mean, this is a big thing, and that's because of the V, of course. But again, that's going to cause some problems here just in the next couple of weeks. We're going to see things stop coming. And people don't realize how dependent we are on China. Really stupid. 90% of our antibiotics come from there. Is that just like the craziest thing ever? Might even be 95%. Really insane number. April Sheldon, thank you so much for popping in. I appreciate your support. Thank you for coming in early. Marky Sparky, thank you for the super chat right off of the bat before we even started. Again, Marky Sparky, thank you. Denise Noble Hall, George Gooch, peace and love. Thank you so much. Again, Ryan Hulhul, thank you so much for subscribing. Sharon Ramirez, Da Pooch, thank you for being the last one out. Says, out of any member in the royal family, this one is the one that the family wouldn't mind hanging out with hanging out dry if it really came down to it. Give it time. I didn't get to read that last night, but that was talking about Prince Andrew and how he was not responding to, of course, the investigators about Epstein. Then we have U.S. astronaut moon landing not feasible by 2024. NASA's Inspector General finds. I'm sure that the F-Earthers are like, of course it's not. Honestly, a lot of them said, oh, just wait until we get to that time. Something's going to be delayed, or something's going to happen. Why have we not been back to the moon? How did we go to the moon with such primitive technology compared to today's standards, even since, the year 2000's standards, but let alone, 1982 or something was our last trip to the moon, supposedly. And that was back before, when we had one button. I don't even think did we have Macs back in 82? I think we did. Either way, we had barely any kind of computing power, and we got to the moon these several times for these many missions. It doesn't make sense. Obviously, if they didn't really stop, then they have been up there the entire time, or we never went, is a lot of people's opinions. I'm starting to be on the latter half of that. Actually, I've always believed that we've had soldiers in space, at least a couple decades ahead. Because of anticipated delays in spacesuit development, it is, quote, not feasible for NASA to land humans on the moon by the agency's hopeful deadline of 2024, a new report from the agency Office of Inspector General has found. Why do I think this is BS? Because, honestly, people like Elon Musk, in a matter of like a week or something, can come up with inventions to save people from tunnels. They can come up with some of the rocket designs, the actual things to go up there. Dex, doesn't this sound like...
No, come on.
This is 3 years out, and they expect not to go there by then because of the suit?
According to them, we landed on the moon already, right? We had spacesuits already. Worst case scenario, drag out the 1960s model and slap it on and put your butt in the rocket and get up there, right? How difficult is this?
Does anybody think about this? Like, the spacesuit is the thing that's going to stop us from going to the moon? Why 2024? Why was 2024 set in the first place? Does it even matter? Maybe they found something else out. It's funny that we get this news on the same day that all this news comes out about Bennu and the upgraded chances of hitting. We'll talk about that here in just a second. It says, in this new report, which the OIG's Office of Audits released on Tuesday, NASA's Inspector General has audited the agency's development of next-generation spacesuits called the Exploration Extra Vehicle Mobility Unit, or XEMU. NASA is creating the suits to be worn and used as part of the agency's Artemis program, which the agency has said will return humans to the lunar surface by 2024. However, according to this evaluation, that timeline is not only unlikely, but even impossible. Are you effing kidding me? Like, this, I'm sorry, but the suit is what is stopping us? How would they know that we're not going to be there in 3 years with this suit? What is in this suit? Does this suit have the actual protection needed to go through whatever the belt is that everybody says, we couldn't have gone there because of this belt, the radiation and all of that? Is that why, would this prove? Isn't this kind of giving more credence to the fact that, like, how did we go with, like Dex said, 50, 60-year-old suits, and those guys, most of them lived long lives, supposedly, right? How is this? What do you guys think? I'm going to go over to the chat. Peace and love. Thank you for being here. Elizabeth Rochard, thank you for subscribing. And again, April Sheldon. Over on DLive, we have awesome people. We've got Jay Price, 130, newer person. Thank you for coming. Lisa K23, starting the Friday car show. Hey, thank you for supporting. Thanks for supporting Independent. Frankie714 says hello from Western Kentucky. We've got Grim Truth 32, Scooby-Doo Do-Right, Angela 1808, Hopkinson, Out to the Woods, Bear Claws, Cognitable, and Holiday Kisser over there. Thank you guys for always coming to almost every show. A lot of new people over there. Thank you for all of the new followers. Nurse Nessie, thank you for following over there as well. Quantum Cat, thanks. Happy Friday the 13th. Oh, goodness. Dex, did you realize it was Friday the 13th? I don't.
Not until you said it.
I didn't either, man. I don't like this day. Let's go over to the chat. I'll pop it up on the screen. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's turn this on so everybody can see. That should be good, but we'll see. Stephen McMahon, thank you. One of the first astronauts said that we had the technology then, but lost it. Makes me suspicious. Good point, Stephen. Again, really weird stuff there. It says, NASA says giant asteroid now has a greater chance of hitting Earth. We'll talk about that here in just a second. All right, guys, do you think I want to get a vote? We're going to take one, and I'm going to put it on screen so everybody can see it. We'll all do this at the same time, and when this vote happens, you'll see what the majority of other people think. After finding out a lot of the things that we found out now, especially the announcement about a year and a half ago that the moon was technically inside of our atmosphere and there was oxygen molecules out there and all of this, especially taking into account things said by astronauts, I want you guys to just be very simple, a yes or no. Do you think we've been to the moon? Push 1. 2, if you think we have not been to the moon. Or 3, we've been to the moon and we're on the moon right now. 1 for we have not been to the moon. 2, we have, or I'm sorry, 1, we have been to the moon. 2, we have not. And 3, we are there and on the moon right now. Let's see what people end up thinking. And as that populates, of course, we have NASA says a giant asteroid now has a greater chance of hitting Earth. Scientists have been tracking a giant asteroid that is the size of the Empire State Building as it hurtles through space towards Earth. After reviewing new data gathered by NASA's OSIRIS-REx spacecraft, they have increased the odds that the asteroid named Bennu will strike the Earth in the next 300 years. So, again, that kind of size is absolutely insane. So, I just want people to notice that this is almost all 2s and 3s. So, either people think that we have not gone to the moon, or we're on the moon and we have, people there. Somebody said 4, we're on Mars. That's good. Thank you, Ilea. I appreciate that. Super chat. And did 1. On the moon. Teresa, AC, we've got Gasman, T. Teresa, Pacemaker, Baltimore. By the way, I wanted to say we will be adding new mods in the next couple days to the YouTube channel. So again, if anybody needs to get a hold of me, hit me up on Twitter. They're going to be OG Marfoogles. So again, we have so many people on some of these shows. We need some help. Elizabeth Rochard, thank you. April Sheldon, Texas Squirrel, big emoji smiley face, says that they're on the moon. The moon landing was fake, said somebody else. Redscape, hey Jem, it's nice to see you. Kubrick, yes. If you look into the Kubrick moon thing, that's pretty crazy stuff. In fact, we covered that. We did a video on that and had a very knowledgeable caller on that theory. Call in if you just look in our website and look up Kubrick Moon on our website. You'll actually probably find that episode. And then Redscape, thanks for subscribing. I appreciate that. So as far as scientists have been tracking this giant asteroid, it says that we have nothing to worry about. The chance of impact is still slim, 1 in 1,750 chance, compared to the previous estimate of 1 in 2,700 chance that the asteroid will hit Earth. It's not a significant change. Dex, isn't that a third? I mean, that is a big difference.
That's a big change. And let me ask you this: if tomorrow you could buy a $10 million lottery ticket and you had a 1 in 1,700 chance of winning, wouldn't that be like some fantastic odds?
Think about that. If you do a raffle and there's 50,000 raffle tickets and you're going for the main prize. I mean, I've done raffles that are bigger than that. As far as that, is that the real number? My personal opinion is no. And if it's not Bennu, it's something else. My theory is that I believe that they've been looking out into space a long time. There have been telescopes out around the world looking for a long, long time. I do feel like there's some weird ones that have recently been destroyed or fallen apart. Again, all of them got shut down at the beginning of CV. Sunspot got raided by Black Hawk helicopters and went in, and they said that it was because of CP stuff. And I never really felt right about that. They even questioned everyone in the neighborhood. Why would they question people in the neighborhood when you saw like somebody? I think it was like DeFango who went in person and like walked around, and people did drones and stuff, and you see that the nearest houses aren't around there, but yet they evacuated the area and talked to every resident. It's like, oh, do you know this guy? Have you talked to this guy? Did he tell you anything? That kind of thing. It really, really still bothers me, and I'm not going to forget about Sunspot. Most of you won't either. If you followed that story, they say that also 5 or 6 other sun observatories were closed down. There's lots of theories around it. I won't go into all of them, but some of them contain a theory that they saw something go in front of the sun. They saw something, they spotted something, and they didn't want that information to get out. After Sunspot, there was a lot of weird changes. All of a sudden, we implemented the Space Force. All of a sudden, we had all of these missions like OSIRIS-REx, which is, of course, a anti-asteroid thing. We had, what was the other one? Dex, there's some other missions. Japan, Hayabusa. Japan had another one, I believe, too. We had... Even Israel ended up sending a satellite to the moon, or tried to send one and crashed or whatever. All these other countries started sending their samples and DNA samples and Noah's Arks to the moon and putting them down into the mountains. Not only that, the sensors for SpaceX, the Starlink ended up adding hypersonic speed sensors to the array of Starlink, so they could sense objects faster than, sound. What was that?
Wasn't it Russia that was trying to use the moon for a defense system?
For a laser, right?
Right, yeah.
And then Russia was designing a laser that could take out asteroids, and then all of a sudden it changed. The article that was, I believe, in Ars Technica, which we just read one of their articles, they then kind of changed it and said something else. But they were coming up with the laser. China was coming up with the laser. I know from personal experience, my sister's ex-boyfriend / whatever they are on and off. He is now Space Force, and he was Boeing, and he was working on these lasers that are basically top secret, and the public is not going to know about them until they're used, probably, and probably even after they're used, we won't know it was, those lasers that did it. I think that, that might be some of the additions to some of these ships that are going on right now. But what are we doing? Are we actually preparing for an asteroid? Then we had the New York drill. They actually drilled in New York. They did an exercise where they had to evacuate all of New York, and it failed horribly. Then Dex, didn't they just do another drill just recently? It wasn't Florida. What city was it? Do you remember? It was
Well, the New York and no, I don't remember. I'm sorry. New York was the last one that you just mentioned.
Yeah, let's go over to the chat. I know that somebody will be able to quote me on what we just covered. It was just a few weeks ago. I feel like a month ago, maybe. There was another drill that was talking about they drilled for an asteroid hitting. What is that? It says no one's taking my photon phaser. Let's see here. Been hearing booms today in NC as well. Oh, and not to mention all of the increased sightings of asteroids coming in. That we can back up. That we actually showed you the stats for. They have quadrupled in every category of stuff coming in. It's not because of Perseoids or whatever. This is year after year. It's going up in just the last 4 or 5 years. In fact, since 2014, it's gone way, way up. It's not because people have phones now. People have had phones. People have had cameras. And then, of course, everybody trying to get off of Earth. Them creating, of course, the Asgardia. Let's see here. CV Passim Parabellum. Tisha, hey, you're speaking my language. I'm just kidding. I don't know what that means. Gasman Mike, what's going on? Central Illinois. We've got Trishelle Sturgeon. Della, hey, how are you doing? I will. Big Mikey, Iowa. Was it Iowa? I feel like it was a bigger state than that. But thank you for trying. Either way, in fact, I'll probably be able to find it on my own website. Florida, I feel like it's Florida. I feel like it was Florida. Let's see here. Robbie Orr says, I live in West Virginia and saw a huge military or army helicopter with 2 big blades. That would be Chinook, I believe. Farmers are here anyways, letting the blooms scare off the birds. Stop, listen, think. Della, I will pray for you, whatever is. God may help you. Let's see here. E Sheets, Joda, you know, it's Friday the 13th and nobody cares about. This is a simulation, LOL. Who knows? Again, I don't know. I don't claim to know. If you look into that theory, there's a lot of weird stuff that they're finding out through actual science that somewhat they say is backing the simulation theory. The asteroid is still forecast to come within 125,000 miles of the planet, which is about half of the distance between the Earth and the Moon. There's a slight chance that the asteroid approaches Earth, it will get caught into a gravitational keyhole that could send it on a collision course about 50 years later. It says, while Bennu is not large enough to be considered a planet killer, it could cause a massive swath of devastation if collided with the Earth. You can usually, rule by thumb, say that the crater size is going to be 10 to 20 times the size of the object. So a half-kilometer sized object is going to create a crater that is at least 5 kilometers in diameter, and it can be as much as 10 kilometers in diameter. But the area of devastation is going to be much broader than that, as much as 100 times the size of the crater. So an object Bennu's side impacting on the eastern seaboard states would pretty much devastate things up and down the coast. OSIRIS-REx is now returning to Earth after collecting samples from the massive asteroid. It is expected to arrive in 2023, and scientists hope to learn more about the giant space rock after examining the mineral samples. So they're basically telling us that they grabbed samples of this. I wondered back then when they said that they were going to do this is if they were possibly trying to see what the chemical makeup is, see if they could dissolve it, see if they could destroy it, see how they would do it. Because if they hit it, you know, if they've gone through the different things, if they impact it, it could then, or if they do like a nuke, they could blow it up into multiple smaller pieces and cause more devastation, or actually cement it hitting Earth. A lot of people in the science community have talked about this, and there's even a Reddit devoted to it. Very, very weird stuff there. What do you think? Do you think that Bennu is our problem, or do you think that that is just something that they can put there as a distraction? Or do you think that it's going to be a bigger one than Bennu? Do you think that we won't see it? We actually missed a show the other week that was talking about a brand new article that talks about how the actual asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs was from a dark part in the asteroid belt. And very specifically, it was a dark asteroid. It had materials in it that basically made it very non-reflective. And since it's non-reflective, That means in today's day and age, if another one came from the same part of that asteroid belt, which they believe it would be from that, the next, world killer, planet killer, that we wouldn't be able to see it, or at least not see it as well, unless we were in the perfect conditions to see it with the telescope. So if the next one is like the dinosaur killer, supposedly, then we wouldn't we would not have any warning, and it would come, and we would only find it right when it's about to hit, or have very little time, like 24 hours or less. Irish Soul says Wormwood. That's a good one to look up. Don't panic. Bring a towel with you. Yes, of course. If an asteroid's coming, all you have to have is a towel. I agree with that. Laser killed the dinos, not an asteroid. Sharon Harris. Interesting. I actually have seen videos that are incredibly interested on that. Not on that subject, but if humans were around back then, and Atlantis and all sorts of things. If our sun burnt out and now our moon, and our sun is now a fake sun that we heard rumors about. That was San C. I don't know. But, and then China is making the fake sun and a fake moon. They're literally making an artificial moon and an artificial sun. I believe both are complete. I don't know if they've launched the moon yet, though. Dex, can we check on an update on the artificial moon that they say they were going to launch? It was a satellite that they basically said it's an artificial moon, and it will light up the streets brighter than the night sky moon.
Yeah, I'm looking now.
All right, and then in the meantime, if you can, make sure to go over and do your research on EMPs. If you have not understood the actual risk of an EMP, then definitely follow our channel, because we have much more coming out. In fact, because we have been one of their oldest affiliates at EMP Shield, we are going to get some access to some stuff, I believe, either before the public or right before or right at the same time as the public. So make sure to go over here and go check it out. This device or set of devices, there's a family of devices anywhere from your car to your generator to your house to your solar system, which people don't think about, to protect you against all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3. This can also protect you from a normal and a natural kind, the solar flares, a CME. So go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Well, you can, because any sale that they're doing, our $50 off per device will end up stacking on top of that. So make sure to go over and check there regularly if you want to save some dough. Again, it's 100% American made. It's a veteran-owned business, and I believe it will save lives in the end if this happens. So go check it out. marfooglenews.com/EMP. The car model takes about 5 minutes to do by yourself. At least it probably took me about 11 minutes. I exaggerated just a little bit. All right, and then Dex.
And Adam, the plan was announced in 2018 that they wanted to have it launched in 2020 and add additions to it by 2022. I assume that plan has not happened. There's been no update. But yes, this was a low orbiting light that they were putting up that was going to help light their night skies, and that by doing it, it would reduce energy costs. But yes, it would be a moon.
Dex, can you get me an article on the Lisa K says plus the 50 volcanoes erupting now? Love to see that. If there's anything regarding that. D frustrated. I've been MIA. This crap is soon to be fake alien BS. D frustrated. You're saying that this might translate into a fake alien kind of invasion type thing. I'd be happy to help and mod anytime, brother. Vault 11, definitely consider you. You're always very polite. Quantum Cat, thanks mods. Appreciate Highway. What is that? Highway Dose of Freedom, I think. Pez player, can we just skip WW3 and go right into the zombie apocalypse? Unfortunately, no, I think you have to do the steps. One step at a time, Pez player. One step at a time. Tower Bear, thank you. Jacktronics, Bear Claw, Maxi, Miss V2, everybody that has stopped by, thank you so much. That Chowky gal. So we're apparently burning documents at the U.S. Embassy. The U.S. Embassy is supposedly shredding and burning documents in a case that the wins. This is, of course, coming out of Bloomberg. So it is, again, one of the authoritative sources that is saying this. It says that the U.S. Embassy staff in Kabul has been told to start destroying sensitive material, underscoring that the B administration is preparing for the possibility that the embassy will be overrun by the Taliban, despite public assurances that the building remains in operation. Is that not just absolutely nuts? Dex, you talked about this yesterday. You called this.
Yeah, it was like, we're either going to save it or we're not. And obviously, they're now preparing for the idea of not even saving it.
That's incredible. It says the management notice to all American personnel sent early Friday morning from the embassy facilities manager asked staff to, quote, reduce the amount of sensitive material on the property, according to a copy obtained by Bloomberg News. It asked that they destroy anything with U.S. logos, flags, or items which could be misused in propaganda efforts. So say they, a U.S. document that says like, hey, we're running one of the hugest operations in the world to control every person on Earth. Something like that you got to delete. Right? Right? I think you have to delete that one. Oh, is that Operation CV? Oh, delete that. All of it. Just get rid of it. Yeah. Too long? Probably. The email details the ways diplomats can destroy material, use burn bins, and shredders for paper, a disintegrator for electronics, incinerators for medical waste, and a compactor that can crush items that are too big for the disintegrator. It says that the embassy will offer what it calls destruction support between 8:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. until further notice. Dex, have you ever been destruction support? I know you've been tech support.
Hey, no, I've never been. I've only done my own destruction support.
Yeah,
I have my methods.
Hi, this is Dan with Destruction Support. You're going to want to take it and then smash it against a wall.
I guess that's how it works. These destruction methods are not appropriate for weapons, ammunition, or similar item, it reads. Two admin officials who discussed the internal memo on condition of anonymity said that the destruction procedure is standard when a U.S. outpost abroad is being scaled down. One of the officials said it's consistent with established plans for most U.S. forces in Afghanistan to depart by the end of the month, but acknowledged that the Taliban's advances played a role. So the Taliban, which they say is getting giant, which down the road could be used for all sorts of ganda, is now basically taking over the whole country again. So, Dex, did we just waste like 20 years of this BS, supposed war?
Yeah, I'd hate to have to think of it that way, but it sure seems like it's just going to turn right back to the way it was. These destruction bins and incinerator devices. It sounds like we have a little bit more high tech than what maybe China used over in, was it Houston, when they caught him out in the back with a garbage can, like lighting everything on fire?
Yeah, that's right. They they actually literally did a dumpster fire to get rid of the evidence.
Right.
And we have a disintegrator. Maybe it's like what movie was that? The Suicide Squad, where they had the dematerializer or something. Again, State Department spokesman Ned Price said at a briefing Thursday that the embassy remains open for now. This is not abandonment. This is not an evacuation. This is not a wholesale withdrawal, Price said. The Taliban took 3 more cities across Afghanistan Friday, adding to the tally of major population centers they've taken in recent days.
Destruction support, what can I do for you? Oh yeah, you're going to want to take the paper, slide it in the slot, and then push the little button. It's going to pull through, it's going to slice and dice. Okay, did you need any other help? Do you need to know how to break your own fingers? Oh, okay, sorry, wrong line. That's CIA. Okay, alright, see you in a bit. Alright, bye. Try unplugging and plugging it in again.
And the Taliban now control half of Afghanistan's provincial capitals. It says the Taliban have seized Kandahar, Afghanistan's second largest city, and a number of other provincial capitals as the insurgent group accelerates its rapid advance towards the capital, Kabul. Afghan Member of Parliament Gul Ahmad Kamin told CNN on Friday that Kandahar had been taken, and of course the city, which lies in the south of the country, has been besieged by the Taliban for weeks, and many observers consider its fall as the beginning of the end for the country's U.S.-backed government. So we just wasted a whole lot of money on basically nothing.
And lives, unfortunately.
Yeah. How many people? What was it? 8,000, 10,000 or something? I remember years ago it was like 3,000 or 4,000 that had perished over there. Now I'm curious how many people died in that 21 year, 22, whatever, however many years we've been there. Well, actually, no. It hasn't even been 20 years. Since 2002, perhaps. So 19 years, 18 years. Either way, all for weapons of mass destruction. Remember that? Yeah.
It's been 2,312 U.S. military personnel
What?
have died, and 20,000 have been wounded since 2001.
So there's probably out there 20,000 injured veterans that are basically scarred from this, and now it's all for basically nothing. It was 20 years just to take the place for a while and have a party.
And civilian in that location was 35 to 40,000 estimates.
Well, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Wow. So a lot of innocent people most likely passed as well. I just want to say thank you to any soldier that is in the room right now that did go over there or went anywhere. Your sacrifice is not forgotten, and there are those of us who appreciate you and everything you've done. No matter what time you served in, I appreciate you and salute and thank you so much for your service. I was just thinking about it too, and it's like veterans fought for our freedom, and of course they only get one day. If you haven't seen the new Tom McDonald video, I loved his 10 steps to control thing in that video. If you guys have not seen it, maybe I'll play it at the very end. Again, he is really cool. He is going to change things, and whether you're a fan of that kind of music or not, he is putting straight up truth, and it's getting through to millions of people. So I cannot hate that. Taiwan U.S. Coast Guards meet despite Chinese pressure. It says officers of the U.S. and Taiwanese Coast Guards have met to discuss improving cooperation, communication, despite efforts by China to isolate this self-governing island democracy. It says the virtual meeting held Tuesday came amid moves by the U.S. and others to defy Beijing's pressure campaign aimed at compelling Taiwan to accept its view that the island is part of China. It says China on Tuesday recalled its ambassador to Lithuania expelled the Baltic nation's top representative to Beijing over its decision to allow Taiwan to open an office in Lithuania under its own name. So, again, Taiwan, their government opened up an office in Lithuania and said this is the Taiwan, I guess, an embassy, or it was an office in Taiwan's name, and they actually ejected, they said recalled its ambassador to Lithuania. So they took their ambassador back and said, no, we're not having anything to do with you because you support Taiwan. Again, remember, the whole thing here is China says that anyone that says Taiwan is its own country and that it's not a part of China, they are an enemy of China. They have said it in like frank terms. They said you are an enemy of China and we will take according actions. That's why actors are apologizing to China, because China actually owns, the government of China owns so many of these huge media conglomerate companies that are filmmakers. You know what? I think we need to do a whole show and go through all of the companies that are owned by China, owned and backed. I guarantee you, if you take movies like Fast and the Furious and Suicide Squad and you go up the chains of who made them, I bet you'll see the Chinese government. I don't think people realize how much China owns in the media world, especially with movies. Think about all the propaganda they can fit into things. They have to approve scripts and all of this other stuff. That's why John Cena and all these other people are saying, "Oh, Joe, please forgive me. I'm a little bee." It's because they will never be in another movie again if they talk crap about China or if they say Taiwan is its own country. Chinese leader Xi Jinping has increased diplomatic economy. I'm gonna have an economy sandwich. Chinese leader Xi Jinping has increased diplomatic, economic, and military pressure on Taiwan, whose residents overwhelmingly reject Beijing's demand for political unification with the mainland. China has long blocked Taiwan from taking part in the United Nations and other international organizations and has stepped up such pressure since the election of independence-minded Taiwanese president Tsai Ing-wen in 2016. Tsai was re-elected last year by a strong majority. While the U.S. maintains only unofficial relations with Taiwan in deference to Beijing, it is the island's key arms supplier and closest political ally. Washington's de facto embassy in Taipei, the American Institute in Taiwan, said in a statement that on Tuesday's meeting, the sides, quote, discussed ways to improve joint maritime responses to search and rescue, disaster relief, and environmental missions, as well as opportunities to improve communication and continued personal education exchanges. They continued to work on the common objectives of preserving maritime resources, reducing illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, and participating in joint maritime search and rescue. Basically, blah, blah, BS, we're helping them pick up garbage. Yeah. Seems like they don't really have that much support if they can't even say that they're supporting them. They've gotten mad when we've sold them jets. We've sold them high-tech, many high-tech gadgets. The Kegel says, to the best show on the internet, hey, thank you for supporting Independent. By the way, thank you to everybody that went over to PayPal. Again, thank you, ambertracks.com. Waterproof Bibles. What was that? Waterproof Bibles and Survival Supplies USA only, ambertracks.com. That's amber like the color and tracks like the railroad tracks. Joseph F., thank you for doing $10 on PayPal. Says, hey, Marf, I got the alert yesterday, but none of my family or friends did. Joseph, one question would be, do you have a prepaid or a phone that, you get at Fred Meyer or Walmart or any of those places? Those are already automatically opted into it. Or if you have an Android, you might have gone into the settings. Otherwise, that's weird. Sean D. can't do much. Hope it helps. Shout out to the Dex, Marf, Mods, and Foogle family. Sean D., thank you so much for your support of the channel. Thank you for going over to PayPal. And then Amy R., thank you, and thank you again. It looks like ambertracks.com. Waterproof Bibles and Survival Supplies. That's amber like the color and tracks like railroad tracks. ambertracks.com. I really think that you're smart for doing that. I hope that people go over and support Foogle fam companies like Ambertracks. Again, thank you. Let's get into the U.S. senators. Dex, what do you think about the U.S. senators had to sneak into Taiwan to help South Korea avoid the wrath of China?
Well, it's obvious. Everything we do, it's like we either have to kowtow, or we don't have to, but you either have to kowtow to them or you have to sort of sneak around. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of consternation about anything you're doing with Taiwan, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as, what was it? LeBron James was even caught up in it. He said something about Taiwan being a country. He even had to apologize, and he went with it. They're still not letting the movie Space Jam release in their country because of that. That's another part too. If they don't let a movie release in China, these companies lose millions and millions of dollars, and that means the actors lose millions and millions of dollars. So say like Fast and Furious 9 or something, a big release that happens that, has a loyal following and it's going to get these big numbers. if they don't release that because one of the actors says something, that screws everybody out of millions of dollars, right? So it's just so crazy to me that all of the world is giving into this country that we know is literally taking people and having them wake up without, kidneys, or waking up without organs, or killing people and putting them away forever, or, using them for science experiments, all this stuff, doing everything that probably the U.S. does in secret, but they're doing it in the open. And how are people supporting that? I don't get it. Personally, I think that more stuff needs to be made here in the U.S. That would fix a lot of our guilt issues. Why are we supporting that? It says that a group of U.S. lawmakers who flew from South Korea to Taiwan in June hid their itinerary from officials in Seoul so they could deny knowledge of the trip and avoid a diplomatic fallout with China. Senator Tammy Duckworth revealed at a conference on Tuesday. It says that Duckworth, who was part of the highly watched whirlwind visit to Taipei, along with Senators Dan Sullivan and Chris Coons, also big names as far as outspoken, said that the morale-boosting trip sanctioned by the Xi administration showed the Taiwanese public that America would not abandon them during the island's politically charged shortage earlier this summer. Okay, yeah. They won't abandon them. Sure. Okay. We'll see. I guess, Taiwan's V procurement, it was being blockaded by China. The senator said in an event hosted by the International Security Program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. During their 3-hour visit on June 6th, the senators announced that the donation of 750,000 Moderna vaccines to Taiwan, an amount later tripled to 2.5 million doses. Make it seem like, oh, it's a gift from God. We got him. Oh, finally. Sign me up. Sign me up.
If you think about jabbing me, if you think a government or a man can mandate me, take a long walk off a very short dog if you think about jabbing me. If you think a government or a man can mandate me.
That's what I think of that. Speaking of getting jabbed, actually this has nothing to do with that. But it does help the channel, and it helps you protect yourself against cyber criminals. If you have not checked out NordVPN, they were one of the highest rated. They are the most popular in the United States, at least. And they are in the top 3 as far as rated. VPN, Virtual Private Network, can actually hide your IP address or put it somewhere else and protect you online. It can protect you from being data logged. It can also help you protect all of your information and protect your kids and your family from cyber crooks and cyber pervs. So again, go to marfooglenews.com/VPN if you want to check it out. Remember, one account will actually serve on 6 devices. So you can use it on 2 laptops, 2 phones, 2 tablets, and it will protect. A lot of people forget that you can use a VPN on your phones as well. marfooglenews.com/VPN. Use the special code Marfoogle and get upwards of 70% off, depending or equivalent on any given plan. Again, make sure to go over and check that out. Thank you guys for doing so. marfooglenews.com/VPN. Dex, we have, of course... Okay, so do you want to talk about should you combine finasteride with pregnenolone? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that it may be the wrong article loaded. So
I thought this was something that you wanted or something. So I'm like,
no,
isn't finasteride for that's for hair loss, and pregnenolone? I don't know what this is.
Well, I can tell you what it was supposed to be, and you don't need.
It's supposed to be the. Isn't this supposed to be a picture?
Yeah, no, there's an article about traffic cameras. I believe it's in Illinois or Chicago that were all of a sudden reducing their ticketing to 6 miles over the limit.
Yeah, and
right?
they okay. So guys,
Isn't that crazy?
and in the first, what was it? The first month or the first 2 months? So Chicago took this area and they reduced the ticket, so automatic ticket by this machine, by 6 miles per hour over. In the first month, is it right, Dex?
Yeah, it was in the first 2 months, 300,000 citations and $11 million in fines.
$11 million in 2 months because everybody goes 5 over. Everybody goes 6 over, 7 over. I mean, a general rule of thumb is like, I've always thought, 5 over, you're pretty good. Most cops are lenient if you're going 5 over. If you're going 10, 15 over, then you're there. You try to stay under 10. So everybody has that kind of like zone. But since CV started, man, I'm telling you, people drive fast now. Just period. Like, did you not know? People drive fast. And they drive like 90.
That's because you can outrun the CV.
That's right. In fact, I think it's like 88 miles. Either you travel to the future or you outrun CV. I can't remember which.
Alone with a covering over your face.
Yeah, I know. I was in a DMC, and I was just and ended up in 1962, and I totally avoided CV. It was crazy. Anyways, that I think is wrong. They're doing the 6 miles per over, and they do that, and I bet you 99% of those people aren't going to fight those tickets. I mean, technically they were actually going over the speed, but do you think that's wrong? Was that kind of a trap? Do you think that was screwed up for them to do? I personally think so, but
here's the real kicker, right? Like, this stinks in that area, but what this is, what we got to look at is this is the technology that's being rolled out. It's rolled out in a major city.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago's a huge city. This is the technology that's being rolled out. This is the technology. We see it. It started with, red light cameras, and sure, who doesn't want to stop people running red lights because people get hurt? But, you put one spin on it as to make it okay, but what you don't realize is you're boiling the frog in the pot of water, right? Because all of a sudden we're moving closer and closer to this, social credit system that's going to monitor every little detail and citate you if you do something wrong, prevent you from driving your car, prevent you from getting on the subway system or whatever it may be.
Well, and there's all these things where it's gonna intertwine with your phone. They through CV, they are pushing so many things through that normally would not be possible. It's like you had 2001, that event, that single event, the Patriot Act and everything else, all of that was only possible because everybody was blood red and fury in their eyes because of this event that they considered, they hit us. They hit us as Americans, as New York, the heart of New York and everything. And everybody was blood red and so angry. And everybody knew somebody that knew somebody. And it was just everybody so angry that all these things were justified for protection. Nobody wanted to be the next one of those. Nobody wanted to be at the office. Then in the last 10 years, all of a sudden we had these mass events like tons of them. It was just every week. And they all had a manifesto and they all had this stuff. Those just disappeared. Now we're seeing that the whole T-ban is taking over thing. We're seeing all this other stuff. And now CV. All of these things are getting done for the greater good. The cashless thing, I cannot believe that this is all part of it. They're saying that there's this change shortage. And now, you may not see this in all places, but here at Walmart, at Fred Meyer, at Targets, everywhere, they have changed it from a normal store where you go through a line and you have a person run you out and check you out. Now, even grocery stores, Walmart, for instance, does not have a normal checkout at the main superstore. They don't have a single checkout. They only have a desk inside. They've turned their entire store. They've altered the actual makeup of their store. It's 2 huge squares with registers, self-checkout registers all around, and then they have one lady who has to help all of them, and If somebody has to use cash, they have to wait for her to be done and you take the cash. Otherwise, they say it's because of a cash shortage or a change shortage. Any Walmart could immediately, if they want to change things, they can change it in a day. If an event happens nationwide, they can change things. They could change their prices and say, hey, because of the change shortage, we're changing all of our prices to round up. So including tax is an exact amount or whatever, right? But they won't. If it was about change, then round up or round down or something. Rounding up would be a hit on the customer, but if we're talking about literal change, hey, these products are all going to be anywhere from 10 cents to 25 cents more expensive. They are going to track every single thing, and you can't even use cash at the self-registers. You have to use it with the person. Fred Meyer, Target, all of them are the same. And now they're really starting to go. Now Targets are doing it. And now they've implemented these systems where they're bars that actually open when you walk in and open when you go out. They're herding us like cattle. People don't realize this. I'm just blown away. All these things that are going into effect right now. Wake up, people. And even the staff at Walmart said, they're just trying to take our cash away. She said, we have tons of change back there. The manager told me, she goes, we have tons of change. We have the same amount that we ever did. You have the same amount that you have always had at the beginning of any business day, and you can't do cash because of a change shortage? Said she's got the same rack, same everything that she would have anytime she opened up her store. So why are we not doing it? Just doesn't make sense. July was the busiest month for illegal border. Oh, and face recognition everywhere. Target, all these places. I mean, it's just crazy. We're all a bunch of animals. July was busiest month for illegal border crossings in 21 years, CPB data shows. This looks like a pot smoking circle or something. Are these illegal immigrants, or did I click on the wrong thing? A number of migrants detained along the Mexico border crossed a new threshold last month, exceeding 200%, 200,000%, I think, for the first time in 21 years, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection Enforcement data released on Thursday. Among the 212,000 migrants taken into U.S. custody in just July were 82,966 family members and 18,000 unaccompanied teenagers and children, an all-time high. The unaccompanied minors' custody requirements once have more overwhelmed the B administration as it struggles to care for them safely in the middle of a pandemic. It says B officials predicted earlier this year that the volume of people crossing into border would decline with the summer heat. Instead, Central American adults and children crossing again in large groups of 300 or more. The U.S. border facilities are jammed with migrants shoulder to shoulder in detention facilities, and more than 15,000 minors who arrived without parents are in government custody, many sleeping in grim military barracks. A South Texas park, again along the Rio Grande, has been converted into a sprawling quarantine camp for more than 1,000 parents and children who have tested positive for the flu. For that, or been exposed to infection. The situation at the border is one of the toughest challenges we face, says Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. It says Texas is where the strain has been most acute. It is complicated, changing, and involves vulnerable people at a time of a global... So, 220,000 people, 212,000, whatever it is, if it's over 200,000 people in just 1 month.
Didn't the current administration learn from the previous administration that saying that the summer heat was going to solve problems doesn't work? That's the exact same thing previous administration said for a totally different topic.
Poof,
remember that?
It will just vanish, right?
Yeah.
We'll just
Don't
disappear.
worry about it. It's summer heat. It's amazing what it can do.
Well, we're in the season, right? We're in the season.
Only thing I know it does is make you sweat.
That's for dang sure. Kim Brower, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Spooky Aliens, appreciate you as well. Peace and love again. Thank you. The Ghost Baby Guy, aka Veteran Steve, says, be blessed, be discerning, encouraged, positive, and vigilant. Much love to all from Veteran Steve. Hey, Veteran Steve, thank you so much. And again, thank you for pledging on Patreon. I appreciate you. Again, you were one of the original people in that tier, so thank you. Sansi, what if our sun burnt out and us now our moon? And our sun is now Chafake. Backwoods Ingenuity, I've heard of the Army moving a large shipment. Let me make sure I get this full message here. I've heard that the Army is moving a large shipment, 1 million plus, of rounds to the Navy base near me. Heads on a swivel. Backwoods Ingenuity, again, if you guys haven't checked him out, that is creepy. We are in the ending scene of My Pet Goat 2. The meteor increases and the sun goes berserk. Says FR. FR, I think that's the first one I've seen from you. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. GG Starlings, thank you so much for your support. Thank you guys for supporting Independent. Thank you for supporting Dex and I. Thank you for supporting Marfoogle News. Can't say enough thank yous. Let's see here. That's so weird. I still can't access that thing. Sansi, again, thanks. Dex, do you want to talk about some of the... So there's some really big stuff happening. Of course, Pillow Guy got punched. I think we talked about that yesterday. But we have...
that's yesterday, but you guys can go see it if you didn't see it. All you got to do is go to marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail. Adam showed you at the beginning of the show. If you didn't catch that part, the thumbnail for this show, click on it, scroll down past everything we just talked about, and get to the web-only content. That web-only content is all of the other stuff we can't cover, either too hot for TV or two-sided. A lot of politics or other things in there that we can't go into. But there's a lot going on, and like you said, even if you want to go to yesterday's show, you can find out about the Pillow Man getting roughed up. But yeah, what's going on now? There's an event that supposedly had happened at a Bang Bang event that was happening in a place, a military base. I'll leave it at that. You can probably show that on the screen. Lots of stuff going on. I think our administration sort of took off for the weekend and didn't say much on his way out the door, and a handful of other things that are going on with the V's and the other bean counters and stuff and such. So go take a look. marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, scroll down to web-only content. Now, remember, this is, if you can, share it on Facebook and other platforms. This alone, that section, is a resource for news. In fact, today's show, just the online one, it has the video at the top, which goes through this 2-hour show or whatever, however long. But again, you can just share this website, and people will have every piece of information and news that we have, and you'll be able to share that with them. Just share this actual page with people, and then people can get to all of the daily news. More people are going to our website than watch our show every day, which we have an average of 40 to 60,000 people watch our show every day. So think about it. 100,000, 200,000 people are going to the website. That's pretty awesome. So again, go check it out. Make sure to go share this out with people so they can know. It's completely free. It's right there for you to use. A lot of time is taken to put it there, so make sure to use it. Janine Salunas, thank you so much. Megan Balias or Bialas, thank you. Gigi Starlings, Libby Weevil, D Earth Observer, Marfoogle Spirit in Christ, Gigi Starlings again. Ilea, thank you. Stephen McMahon, April Sheldon, Marky Sparky, everybody who supported tonight over on D Live. Thank you to the top people over there. I really appreciate you. Bobby D, thank you. Says, since Afghanistan streets are filled with heroin. Somebody was talking about fentanyl being worse than heroin now. I know personally from, we're dealing with a family member that, I guess a married-in family member that has gone so downhill, and everybody thought he was on heroin. It's actually fentanyl that is the big thing now.
And it is so bad that, like, everybody's on it. Oh my gosh. So my conversation like 2 months ago with him was, this guy basically, he would get by, you know, selling things. He said he has 12-year-old kids asking him for blues. I think it's called blues, or a color. They ask for blues, and that is the fentanyl. And I was just blown away. He says he is blown away by how many kids are doing this. Kids are doing this. So it's actually worse than it's ever been. So I agree with that. I saw some comments on that, and it's hit me in multiple times in my life, as far as I lost a friend that from high school that I knew very well. He was such a good guy. He turned 21, got introduced into the stuff, and I just watched him die. I mean, like, over, 7 years, he just slowly died, and it was horrible to watch. So anybody that is going through any of those kind of problems, if you are on it, I hope you guys reach out. I hope you reach out to something to help. Go get treatment, man. It is really horrible stuff. Gem Maui Racing Realtor, what's your name? 45. What's her name? Bear Claws, thank you. Saint of the Most High 82. Thank you so much for following. They are creating a fake V. All men go to military, Defrustrated says. And then says, go to frankenspeech.com for the emotion truth, please. We've actually shared a lot of that stuff on marfooglenews.com as well. Check Threads. Thanks for following. Everybody that joined us tonight, thank you. Today was a short show, but I guarantee a Monday is going to be absolutely packed. I will be doing stuff over on Marfoogle News this weekend, so make sure to subscribe to Marfoogle News. The main channel is about to hit 200,000 at some point. It's at 193,000 or something like that. It actually hit 194, but then it went back down. Thank you guys for rushing over there and subscribing. If we hit 200,000, that's a big day. That's a huge, huge day. Dex, thank you for all your service tonight.
Much love, brother. Great show.
It is now time for the...
I was going to say it hit 194 now.
Yeah, but it hit 194, 600, and then all of a sudden we lost like 600 people. I'm not going to say it until it hits 195, and then I'll say 194.
There you go.
I'm not even going to say 200,000 until it hits like 205,000, because it just bounces around. Anyways, that's a huge deal. It's like 7,000 people in 1 week, so that's insane. Thank you guys. Love you. Be safe. Big shout out to Gone Girl 777, Amy R. Again, Susan Donahue, wherever you are, thank you and I love you. Veteran Steve, thank you. And everyone else tonight. Dex, can you tell us the last three? And then, of course, it is now shoutro time. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Yeah, wasn't the same. Dex, top three.
Top three over on D Live would be Pez Player in number 3. Number 2 position, Vault 1-1, and number 1 is Lisa K23. Thank you
Lisa!
very
Okay. And no music. What is going on here?
Off a very short dog if you think about jabbing me. If you think a government or a man can mandate me. Take a long walk off a very short dog if you think about jabbing me.
Saw my baby day. Seen it, I'm always high 42 in a Venus hell, they say. A stone fanatic, what's her name? 45, now we race. Realtor, Jim, and one on PIC. The law out there. Denise Noble Hall in the George Bush. Peace and love, Ryan Ho. Oh, handshake, Ramir, breast, stop push. That frozen ghost, Elric House, Frankie Rios, Paul Williams. I've got to see, and we will go. Da, 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 da. right, let's make a new one for Lisa K. 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 I said I dropped down to midway with the John Durham and the Profi side. Going right back and they all suck a rod. The backseat was also love. All over the world, getting down with the bag and the going girl. And the bring back, everybody knows about one that's got it flow with the back. Congratulations to Bear Claws, Stormy7572, Jammer1, Holiday Kisser, and Vault11 for winning the chest. Over on D-Live, you actually get paid to watch. I got the Naughty Gypsy and the Miss Gemma 1, Holiday Kisser, and Pam Beth 1. Maybe Bear Claws was number 1, but everybody matters just as much. Hey, kick, click, click, tack, and the kick on that skid sky with the Captain Pack. the gem. A deep state of mind, everything is fine. Super light, with the stoplight, and a life to give, and a life to fight. Hey, holiday kisser and the blind squirrel, 69, stormy 7, 75, 72, and also live to give with the bug nana, WJS and a Miss Banner, bring back down like a yellow banana. Shadow 173, Bama.